feel like I am a bit of a Natasha Denona connoisseur, specifically her midi palettes. I love her midi palettes. I have tried several of them. Most of them are still in my collection, and I know that they are expensive, okay? I know that the midis are 69 bucks. They are pricey. It is a hefty price tag. So if you're gonna spend that kind of money on an eyeshadow palette, you need to be really, really sure that it is the palette for you. And that is what I'm here to help you with. As a self-proclaimed Natasha Denona midi eyeshadow palette connoisseur, I am here to share with you these palettes that are in my collection and a couple that have left my collection. I am going to share with you who I think they are best for and why I like them or why I decluttered them, because after all, Natasha Denona is my favorite eyeshadow formula. So if that's what you're into, you're in the right spot. But first, if you're new, hello and welcome. My name is Kelly and I love all things makeup and beauty. I love talking, I love makeup, I love talking about makeup. So if you like to chat about makeup too, if you love Natasha Denona, you're in the right spot. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, this is not a ranking video. I am just going to be talking about each of the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes that I have, specifically her midis. I'm going to let you know who I think they are good for. And while I am sharing these with you, I am going to be showing you a clip of me using the eyeshadow so you can see it in action. I am going in no particular order, and this is not a ranking video. That's one for another day if you're interested. First up is the Natasha Denona Retro Palette. This palette right here is an eyeshadow palette that combines greens, pinks, and neutral nudes with a variety of finishes in a collection of all new shades. According to the Sephora website, this eyeshadow palette brings two of Natasha's most celebrated creations onto a new mini-sized eyeshadow palette concept. So the color story here is really more of like the lighter greens, pinks, and neutrals. It says here on the Sephora website that Natasha Denona was trying to mix the mini retro eyeshadow palette with a variety of seductive glam eyeshadow palette finishes. You have everything from like rich berry shades like Flare to some lighter green shades like Fringe and Palladian. You have some nude shades like Lucy and Flutter, a mixture of everything here. I do have to say, I feel like a lot of Natasha's eyeshadow palettes kind of are geared more toward the neutral lover like myself, but this one here would be for someone who likes to dabble in color but more on like a safe neutral side. You have to like the greens, you have to like the pinks. It's not fully nude neutral palette. There are those pastel-y pinks and greens in there. Are you gonna get something that's deep and smoke and vampy? Not really, but you're also not getting bright neon colorful. So that's why I feel like it's a safe, colorful palette. I have to say, I don't think that I would consider this one necessarily to be my personal favorite. If I am looking for a green look or a pink look, sure, but this isn't one that I reach for on the day-to-day. Just because with my personal aesthetic, when I'm thinking neutrals, I am thinking more of like the browns, like cooler tone browns, warmer tone browns. I'm not necessarily thinking of the color aspects here. Although you do have the pops of neutral with Flutter and with Oscar, but more so I feel like you have to be into colors and more so lighter colors. I wouldn't necessarily consider this to be a must-have palette, although you do have matte finishes, shimmer finishes, metallic finishes. You have that great Natasha Denona quality. It's just not a palette that I feel like is an absolute must-have personally. We are literally not going in any order other than I'm just pulling. I'm just pulling from in front of me. So next up is the Natasha Denona Retro Palette. I have raved about this palette. I have said that this palette is indeed one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona. It goes back and forth sometimes, but I really, really love this one. I love the psychedelic shade for like an inner corner. I love the glitz shade for all over the lid, but I also like how you have Jude, which is more of like that cooler taupey vibe. You have some warmer shades with Patty, Go-Go, Amara. You have this Helio shade, which is it rose gold? Is it more of a taupe? I don't know. You have this purple swing shade. You have a nice mixture here of different finishes. You have the metallic, you have the shimmer, you have some toppers here. The Sephora website says that this one has 15 romantic burgundy and mauve shades combined with gray browns, taupes, and dusty roses, as well as vintage pinks. This is perfect to create romantic, retro-inspired looks. It also says on the Sephora website that these shades and formulas were hand-designed by Natasha Denona herself. They were made with the highest quality pure color pigments, dazzling chroma crystals, and and luminous mineral pearls. Buttery smooth and hydrating. I do not have a problem with this formula. Like I have said, this formula is amazing. But when I think of the shades in this formula, I do believe they are those rich mauves, more of a romantic type of palette. Again, like I said, Natasha Denona, I feel like most of her palettes are geared toward neutrals or the neutral lover. This is going to be one where you have to like those mauvey type of shades. If mauves are not your tones, stay away from this one. If you are like, give me all of the mauves, this would be great for you. I think you would really, really enjoy it. This one, you can create a lighter look. You can go in with nude mauve and put glitz or psychedelic on the lid, and it's just going to be very like natural and nude, or you can go deep and vampy. You can take Apart, you can take Amara, you can take Swing, and you can really deepen it up and create some depth and dimension. So I think this is a great palette. Like I said, it is one of my favorites and probably one of my most used. I think if you are into those romantic date night tones, you want to play with the mauves, this would be a good pick for you. It's definitely a very fall palette for me, very like, well, even winter, December, January, February, very fall, winter for me. But this one, y'all, it's a favorite. Definitely, definitely, if you are a mauve lover, recommend. The newest palette to the scene and the newest one to grace my presence is the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. This one is said to be, I don't know, maybe inspired by the gold palette that she had before that was discontinued. I never had that one. The gold palette did have some blues in there, and this one is just strictly golden. Golden hues, golden browns, golden, golden, golden. The color that you have, or the shade that you have that is least golden, is this aura shade, and it's like a sparkly white. So this one, obviously, if you are not a brown lover, stay away. But if you are into the browns and the golds, if that is your vibe, you will absolutely love this one because you are going to have a variety of golds here. It says on the Sephora website that this is a new and elevated 15 shade version of Natasha's iconic gold palette with her signature formulas. So you have earthy hues and rich statement metallics in her user-friendly formulas featuring brand new and existing shades. If you have the gold palette, I definitely think maybe stay away from this one because there are existing shades here. Again, the midi size is my preferred size in the Natasha Denona formula. You have cream and pressed powder finishes, you have high shine, you have vivid antique brass metallics, you have a nude champagne, you have topper formulas in here, wet effect formulas. This is a great one mixing all of Natasha's formulas. She keeps coming back with new formulas for us like the toppers and those wet effect shadows. That is going to be found in this formula here. This is definitely the person who wants something quick, easy on the go, but you want it to be golden. I feel like this is a great everyday palette. I feel like it's a great summer palette. Again, you have to like those golds because a lot of these looks are going to come out looking pretty similar. You're not going to have these huge differences here since it's just like an earthy brown gold palette. However, merging into the next eyeshadow palette that I want to talk about, one that I decluttered, but I feel like is kind of in a similar color family to this one, is the Natasha Denona Bronze Palette. I did have the Natasha Denona Bronze Palette many, many years ago, and I liked it, okay? I liked the Natasha Denona formula. I thought it was a great formula. But again, you have to be a bronze lover. The thing that the gold palette gives me that the bronze did not is the bronze palette, I felt like was very mid-toned with some deeper shades. I didn't have any lighter shades that I could use as transitions or to set my primer. I also didn't have like lighter inner corners, and all of the looks that I created with that, they were beautiful. They were bronze, but they all looked the same. I feel like the golden palette gives me the lighter shades that the bronze palette did not. So if you're someone who is looking at the gold palette and you're like, I mean, it's pretty, but I don't know that those are going to give me quite the depth that I'm looking for, then I definitely think the bronze palette may be for you because it is more of those mid-tones. It is a little bit deeper. Again, very rich and bronze and going to give you like warm sunset vibes, but definitely a little bit deeper than the golden palette. And all of the nude lovers knew that the I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette was coming. This one Natasha Denona came out with and literally called it I Need a Nude because she wanted you to know that this was going to be her palette for the nude lover. This one is a must-have cool toned palette with 15 new nude shades in Natasha Denona's iconic matte metallic sparkle foiled and brand new wet effect formula. So the thing that's nice about this one is she wasn't repeating any shades here. These were new shades, and she did come out with some different formulas in this collection. On the Sephora website, it says that it is an enchanting nude stone feel color story designed to suit all skin tones and occasions, from everyday elegance to shimmering dramatic or bridal glam looks. So you have the wet effect formula, you have these bright glossy formulas, you also have her mattes and metallics, very pigmented. This is definitely cool toned neutrals. And I have to say, you would think, Kelly, this is your palette, right? Like, this is the one you love the most. It is not, y'all. It is not the one that I love the most. And I can't really put my finger on it. This is a great palette. It is more cool toned. You have those stony type of shades, but for whatever reason, I don't find myself reaching into this one the way that I reach into some of my others. I think if you are someone who's looking for very basic and on a cooler scale, or you like the grays, I think that this would work out well for you. I think that you would enjoy it. I think the formula is great. There are some shades that I really love, like this Mia shade for the inner corner, but I feel like a lot of these shimmers don't give me quite the pop and vibrancy that I'm looking for, and I don't know if that's just because they are more of like the wet effect or more topper type of shades, or the fact that I have dabbled into the world of indie, and indie shimmers are way different from the mainstream formula. So I don't know, for whatever reason, if you are someone who is into the cooler vibes and like you're looking for something that's quick, easy every day, I don't think that you can go wrong with this one. I know this one is a favorite for many, many people, but for whatever reason, it's just maybe like a little too neutral for me, if that exists. And another palette that I wanted to highlight that I did declutter out of my collection that reminds me of the I Need a Nude in a sense is the traditional Natasha Denona Glam Palette. If you're into cool tones, if you're into silvers, if you want to create a silver smoky eye, if you want deep and vampy, or if you just like everyday light and easy shimmers, the Glam Palette is a great one. I had that one for years and it was a favorite for me, and I reached for that one way more than I reached for the I Need a Nude. The only reason why I decluttered the Glam Palette is because I wasn't in my like cool tone vibes. You know what I mean? I felt like I wasn't reaching for it as much, and for me to have spent $69 on an eyeshadow palette, I wanted to be loving it. I wanted to be using it. And I felt like there were people in my life that would get more use out of this palette. So that is why I decluttered it. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't dislike it. I wasn't over the color story. I still think it is a great, if you're into like silvers and cool tones, I think it's a great, great palette. And it's definitely a very classic, like that's one I would wear to weddings a lot. It's a very classic palette, but it just wasn't for me anymore. And that's okay. So I still love it, but I did declutter it. So then we have the palette. I did say that the retro is one that I consider to be a favorite, but there's another palette that kind of goes back and forth as a favorite for me, and it is the My Dream palette. Natasha Denona came out with the My Dream palette, and I was like, you know what, Natasha, I think this might be my dream also, because we do have like deeper smoky vibes over here on the left side of the palette. You have a black, you have a deep rich brown, you have a duochrome in Vision. This is the first time Natasha Denona is giving us a duochrome in the MIDI formula. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe. And it's this beautiful like mauve with a shift to green that I absolutely love. But then you have more of like your taupey shades with Serenity. You have this beautiful spontaneous shade. You have your neutral browns. Invention, if you're looking for like a bright warm sunset eye, Invention is it for you. Babies is a little bit more of like a rose gold topper, but I love this one. If you like the retro, but the retro you feel like is a little bit too mild for you and you're looking for more depth and more richness, then definitely go the My Dream route. This is a little bit more on that deep, bold, sultry side. So on the Sephora website, it says that this is an eyeshadow palette that includes a captivating constellation of shades inspired by elements of life that illuminate and intensify Natasha's creative vision. It does say that there are 2 of Natasha's favorite existing shades in here, but there are 13 new shades as well. Everything from it calls it a multi-chrome. I feel like it's more of a duochrome, with high impact foiled finish, 2 sparkling duochromes that can be worn as topper, silvers. This is like signature smoky cat eye for Natasha, and I love this one. I love the richness. I like the depth. I like the way that the colors just mix together. This is another one that's great for fall and winter for me. This is one that I feel like is great for those glam nights. You're going out on a date night. You're going to a wedding. You are doing something. You're out in the world. You're out on a town. This is a great one for that. Whereas I feel like the retro I can use on a more day-to-day. Again, they are mauves, but I can use them more on a day-to-day. Dipping into the My Dream, it's going to give me more of like the smoky, vampy richness. So I love this one, but you have to be into those deeper shades. If you are someone who likes to do more of like smoky, vampy looks, this would be a great pick for you. This next palette that I'm going to talk to you about, I can no longer find it on the Sephora website, and honestly I wasn't going to pick it up at first. I only picked it up when I was filming a video where I was talking about some of my creator friends' favorite products, and my friend Kara from Beauty and the Frizz was like, well, I absolutely love Natasha Denona Xenon Palette, and I was like, okay, I don't have the Xenon palette, like tell me about it. This palette is known for the silvers, for the grays, for the deepness, for the depth. I talked about Natasha Denona's Glam Palette and that having silvers, but that is such a lighter scale. These are deep silvers. These are deep blue blacks. These, you have very, very gray undertones. And this is one I really didn't think I was gonna get. You can find this one at Ulta. It is a 15 pan cool toned sultry set in Natasha Denona's matte metallic sparkling foiled and nude sparkling wet effect formulas. So this is said to be the ultimate edgy, glam, and smoky eye essential. I would say I have to agree with that. You have to like a smoky eye, you have to like glam, you have to like bold, and you have to like very, very gray, very monochromatic. There aren't really any pops of color. I know this Snowbow shade is said to be a pink. It doesn't really pull pink on me. This Skipped shade is another one that's like a little off of the gray scale, not giving you much of a difference in the color story here. You have to like deep, you have to like vampy, you have to like smoky. If that's not you, stay away from this one. This is not going to be one that I'm going to reach for often. In the event that I want a smoky eye, in the event that I'm doing something glamorous, I may reach in for this one because it is new, it is edgy, it is fun, and I had fun playing with it. I really liked watching Kara's looks and seeing her kind of create different blues on her eyes. It was really, really cool. So definitely check out Kara's look with this palette. But this is one, you know, this is for a special audience. The audience is not me. It's not my favorite. If it weren't for that video, I would not have purchased it. Now, I'm not gonna return it. Your girl's gonna use it. I kind of wanna use this Cygnus shade, which looks like a sparkly black. I haven't used that yet. I don't create a smoky eye much. I'm usually just home taking care of children. But if you like smoky, vampy, black, edgy, this would be for you. And last but not least, I do have this one from Natasha Denona. This is the Hyper Natural Face palette. I wanted to talk about this one because it's not one of the midi palettes, but it did come out a little bit newer on the market. I don't have her Face and Glam palettes. This one has a bronzer and a blush, but these shades right here are, I believe, the Wet Effect formula, and they're kind of more topper shades for me. I don't like this palette. I don't like it. I don't use it. The bronzer is fine. The bronzer's fine. The blush, I don't really reach for because I don't really wear a pink blush. And I don't really reach for any of these shades. This is for the person who likes a one and done. My friend Samantha March loves a one and done. She loves this palette. She will take this and just quick on the go. If you're on the go, you want one and done, you don't want to fussle, you like literally swipe it on, then you may love this. If you're looking for an all-in-one, if you're looking for something where you don't have to reach, you're very busy, you want to slap makeup on to look put together and you want to look put together, but you don't want to spend time doing it, this may be for you. And there are people, I'm sure, who can get very creative with it, but these shadows really are just like one on the eye and you're done. And the bronzer and blush is not going to work for everybody. It does work on my skin tone, but it's not gonna work for everybody because you have a mixture, you can kind of mix and match, but I feel like this is a pass. I feel like if you wanna try Natasha Denona's formula, like get an actual eyeshadow and just like pass on this one. I have to say, I am very glad to get to the end of this video today. The reason being because I've been working on this for well over a month. I wanted to create looks with each of these palettes. I wanted to create a different look. I didn't want to just take from something I've already done before. And I really wanted to like have my thoughts together, because my purpose in this video is to help you. If you're going to spend $69, I want to help you pick the palette that you are going to love. You by no means need to go out and purchase all of these. I feel like if you have one, if you want to ask for one for your birthday, that is great. That is probably all you need. I probably only need one, but you know, I love makeup, so here I am with a stack of very expensive eyeshadow palettes. Also, one thing I want to say is I have a code with Natasha Denona. It's KBella. It's an affiliate code. You can save 15% off of their website. There are also sales. Sephora, the VIB sale. If you're Rouge, you can get 20% off. But every now and then, y'all, if you watch the Sephora website or even Natasha's website, she will run sales where a palette will be marked down. When I got the Natasha Denona Retro Glam, I did not get it when it was new. I got it because it was randomly on sale. And they don't necessarily go on sale because they're like gonna be discontinued. Like this one was on sale for like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks or something. And then all of a sudden it's not on sale anymore. So definitely keep your eyes out. I feel like we work hard for our money, y'all. We work hard for our money. You don't need to just spend it willy-nilly, okay? Wait for a sale, find one that you think matches you the best, and then go in when you're ready. Or ask for it as a gift. But that's gonna do it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I poured my heart and soul into this one. Now I have to edit it. That is going to be a beast in and of itself. So if you enjoyed it, if you could go ahead and give me a thumbs up, give me a little purple heart emoji if you made it to the end. You're the real MVP. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe before you go. That way I can see you in the next one. Bye.